North American Aviation was a major American aerospace manufacturer, responsible for a number of historic aircraft, including the T-6 Texan trainer, the P-51 Mustang fighter, the B-25 Mitchell bomber, the F-86 Sabre jet fighter, the X-15 rocket plane, and the XB-70, as well as Apollo Command and Service Module, the second stage of the Saturn V rocket, the Space Shuttle Orbiter and the B-1 Lancer. Through a series of mergers and sales, North American Aviation became part of Rockwell International and is now part of Boeing. History. Early years. Clement Melville Keyes founded North American on December 6, 1928, as a holding company that bought and sold interests in various airlines and aviation-related companies. However, the Air Mail Act of 1934 forced the breakup of such holding companies. North American became a manufacturing company, run by James H. Dutch Kindleberger, who had been recruited from Douglas Aircraft Company. NAA did retain ownership of Eastern Airlines until 1938. General Motors Corporation took a controlling interest in NAA and merged it with its General Aviation division in 1933, but retained the name North American Aviation. Kindleberger moved the company's operations from Dundalk, Maryland to Los Angeles, California, which allowed flying year-round. Its first planes were the GA-15 observation plane and the GA-16 trainer, followed by the O-47 and BT-9, also called the GA-16. World War II. The BC-1 of 1937 was North American's first combat aircraft. It was based on the GA-16. In 1940, like other manufacturers, North American started gearing up for war, opening factories in Columbus, Ohio, Dallas, Texas, and Kansas City, Kansas. North American ranked 11th among United States corporations in the value of wartime production contracts. North American's follow-on to the BT-9 was the T-6 Texan trainer, of which 17,000 were built, making it the most widely used trainer ever. The twin-engine B-25 Mitchell bomber achieved fame in the Doolittle raid and was used in all combat theaters of operation. The P-51 Mustang was initially produced for Britain as an alternative to the Curtiss P-40 Warhawk, which North American had declined to produce under license. The derivative A-36 Apache was developed as a ground attack aircraft and dive bomber, a suggestion by the RAF that North American switched the P-51's power plant from its original Allison engine to the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine may have been one of the most significant events in World War II aviation, as it transformed the P-51 into what many consider to be the best American fighter of the war. Post-war years. Post-war, North American's employment dropped from a high of 91,000 to 5,000 in 1946. On VJ Day, North American had orders from the U.S. government for 8,000 aircraft. A few months later, that had dropped to 24. 2 years later, in 1948, General Motors divested NAA as a public company. Nevertheless, NAA continued with new designs, including the T-28 Trojan trainer and attack aircraft, the odd-looking F-82 twin Mustang, B-45 Tornado jet bomber, the FJ Fury fighter, AJ Savage, the revolutionary XB-70 Valkyrie Mach 3 strategic bomber, Shrike Commander, and T-39 Sabreliner business jet. The Columbus, Ohio division of North American Aviation was instrumental in the exclusive development and production of the A-5 Vigilante, an advanced high-speed bomber that would see significant use as a naval reconnaissance aircraft during the Vietnam War, the OV-10 Bronco, the first aircraft specifically designed for forward air control and counterinsurgency duties, and the T-2 Buckeye naval trainer, which would serve from the late 1950s until 2008 and be flown in training by virtually every naval aviator and naval flight officer in the U.S. Navy and U.S. Marine Corps for 4 decades. The Buckeye's name would be an acknowledgement to the state tree of Ohio, as well as the mascot of Ohio State University. The North American F-86 Sabre started out as a redesigned Fury and achieved fame shooting down MiGs in the Korean War. Over 9,000 F-86s were produced. Its successor, the North American F-100 Super Sabre, was also popular. Some 6,656 F-86s were produced in the United States, the most post-war military aircraft in the West, as well as another 2,500 elsewhere. To accommodate its Sabre production, North American opened facilities in a former Curtiss-Wright plant in Columbus, Ohio. It also moved into a former Consolidated Vultee aircraft plant at Downey, California, and in 1948, built a new plant at Downey. By the end of 1952, North American sales topped $315 million. Employment at the Columbus plant grew from 1,600 in 1950 to 18,000 in 1952. The cancellation of the F-107 and F-108 programs in the late 1950s, as well as the cancellation of the Navajo Intercontinental Cruise Missile program, was a blow to North American from which it never fully recovered. Nuclear Development Atomics International was a division of North American Aviation which began as the Atomic Energy Research Department at the Downey plant in 1948. In 1955, the department was renamed Atomics International and engaged principally in the early development of nuclear technology and nuclear reactors for both commercial and government applications. Atomics International was responsible for a number of accomplishments relating to nuclear energy, design, construction and operation of the first nuclear reactor in California, the first nuclear reactor to produce power for a commercial power grid in the United States, and the first nuclear reactor launched into outer space by the United States. As overall interest in nuclear power declined, Atomics International transitioned to non-nuclear energy-related projects such as coal gasification and gradually ceased designing and testing nuclear reactors. Atomics International was eventually merged with the Rocketdyne division in 1978. Navigation and guidance, radar, and data systems Autonetics began in 1945 at North American's Technical Research Laboratory, a small unit in the Los Angeles Division's engineering department based in Downey, California. The evolution of the Navajo missile program resulted in the establishment of Autonetics as a separate division of North American Aviation in 1955, first located in Downey, later moving to Anaheim, California in 1963. The division was involved in the development of guidance systems for the Minuteman ballistic missile system space program in 1955. The rocket engine operations were spun off into a separate division as Rocketdyne. This division furnished engines for the Redstone, Jupiter, Thor, Delta, and Atlas missiles, and for NASA's Saturn family of launch vehicles. North American designed and built the airframe for the X-15, a rocket-powered aircraft that first flew in 1959. In 1959, North American built the first of several Little Joe boosters used to test the launch escape system for the Project Mercury spacecraft. In 1960, the new CEO Lee Atwood decided to focus on the space program, and the company became the prime contractor for the Apollo Command Service Module, a larger Little Joe 2 rocket to test Apollo's launch escape system, and the S-2 second stage of the Saturn V. Merger and acquisition. The fatal Apollo 1 fire in January 1967 was partly blamed on the company. In March, it emerged with Rockwell Standard, and the merged company became known as North American Rockwell. Within 2 years the new company was studying concepts for the Space Shuttle, and won the Orbiter contract in 1972. In 1973, the company changed its name again to Rockwell International and named its aircraft division North American Aircraft Operations. Rockwell International's defense and space divisions were sold to Boeing in December 1996. Initially called Boeing North American, these groups were integrated with Boeing's Defense Division. Rocketdyne was eventually sold by Boeing to UTC Pratt & Whitney in 2005. UTC later sold Rocketdyne to Aerojet in 2013. List of aircraft manufactured: North American A-5 Vigilante, North American A-27, North American A-36 Apache, North American A-J Savage, B-1 Lancer, North American B-25 Mitchell, North American B-45 Tornado, North American BT-9, North American F-82 Twin Mustang, North American F-86 Sabre, North American F-86D Sabre, North American F-100 Super Sabre, North American F-107, North American FJ-1 Fury, North American FJ-2-3 Fury, North American FJ-4 Fury, L-17 Navion, North American NA-16, North American NA-35, North American O-47, North American Rockwell OV-10 Bronco, North American P-51 Mustang, North American P-51 variants, North American P-64, North American T-2 Buckeye, North American T-6 Texan, North American T-6 Texan variants, North American T-28 Trojan, North American Sabreliner, North American X-10, North American X-15, North American XB-21, North American XB-28, North American XB-70 Valkyrie, North American XF-108 Rapier, North American YF-93, North American XA-2J Super Savage, North American XSN-2J, Manned Spacecraft, Apollo Command Service Module, North American DC-3, Skylab Rescue, Missiles and Rockets, AGM-28 Hound Dog, AGM-64 Hornet, RTVA-3 EDM-64 Navajo, S-2 second stage of the Saturn V launch vehicle, Little Joe, Little Joe 2, unmanned aerial vehicles, North American MQM-42 Redhead Roadrunner,